In this video, we are going to learn about the basics of transformations. Let's begin. So, geometric transformations, what are they? Well, to transform a shape or a figure means to change it. In general, we can change the size, the location, and the direction that the figure is facing. So we're going to learn about 4 different kinds of transformations or changes. The shape or figure before the transformation is called the pre-image or original. So before we change the shape or the image, it's called the pre-image before we change it, or the original, and then we might label it just the letter A. The shape or figure after the transformation is called the image or new figure. We would then label it A prime, pronounced A prime. So A with this apostrophe is called A prime. So let's say I take a photo, a regular size photo, and then I want to make a giant banner for, let's say, a football game so that people could see it in the stands. If I take it to a print shop and make like this humongous giant picture of some guy's face for a game, we would call that new picture that I made, we'd call that the image. Now, what do I call the original small picture of that same guy? I call that the pre-image, because before it was changed, it was called the pre-image. So that's what we mean. Now, there are 4 different kinds of transformations we're going to learn about. The first transformation is called a translation. A translation. So keywords is to slide or move something around or move around. So what is a translation? Well, imagine I just move the image down there. So the person's face, this picture used to be up here, and then I moved it down. Basically, a lot of these transformations, if you've made a PowerPoint before, or a Google slideshow, you know what this is. You take an image, you copy paste it, it's somewhere, and then you move it. That's called a translation. So when you paste it on there, you've got your image. If you move it around, you've just translated it, you've moved it. So translation just means to move something around. The second time of transformation is called a reflection. So, which one is the pre-image? The pre-image, the pre-image is this one. Original image, right here. And what they did is they reflected it. Now, if you look at the original image, look, he's winking his left eye, or the eye on the left side is closed. But if I reflect it, it looks like the eye on the right is closed. So that's what a reflection is. So when you mirror image, M-I-R-R-O-R, a mirror image is a reflection. Or to flip an image is the same as a reflection. Our next one is called a rotation. Now, rotations can be kind of confusing. What I've done is I am almost like rolling it around the center. So if I rolled it to the next area, what does my face do? So if my original looks like this, my original looks like it's right side up, and I roll it, and it's looking this way. If I roll it again, guess what? My image will look like this. Like that, and he's gonna be like this. And if I roll it again, this way, guess what? It's gonna be facing this way. Our cool sunglasses guy. And if I roll it back to the original spot, it looks like that. Okay, so to turn or spin. Rotate means to turn or spin. And again, you guys have probably done this in like Google Slides, is like you've rotated an image slightly. Finally, the last one is called a dilation. So in our dilation, here's my original. It's big because it's got the D. D prime is my new one. Look what I've done with it. I've actually shrunken it. So the key word is to reduce. Reduce means to make it smaller or enlarge. And reduce and shrink or enlarge. And that is a dilation. So, where do you see transformations in the real world? Well, like we've said before, if you've used Google Slides, you've moved images around. You've some of you may have flipped the images around. Some of you may have turned them around, flipped or rotated them, and you definitely probably have dilated them, made them either bigger or smaller to fit your slide better. So, translations in real life. They say example of this would be like riding on a slide, or a hockey puck moving on ice would be an example of a translation. With a reflection, they say looking in a mirror. Looking in mirror. Or water on a lake. The reflection in a water. Rotating would be like spinning a wheel. Would be an example of rotating. Dilations, enlarging or shrinking photos. Translations, I just said moving something, moving an object. So moving an image, an object, would be an example of a translation. All right, let's go to the next page. Congruence and orientation, two big words. So a transformation that preserves congruence or keeps the same size. So congruence means keeps it the same size and also the same shape of the figure is called a rigid transformation. So imagine if I took a image and I just moved it. I didn't change the side, I didn't stretch it or shrink it, I didn't flip it. That's called a rigid transformation because I didn't do much to that image. I just, whereas orientation of the figure, the word orientation of the figure refers to whether or not the figure is facing the same direction on the coordinate plane after the transformation. Also, orientation of the vertices. Vertices refers to the order in which the vertices are labeled, clockwise or counterclockwise. So let's talk about this. Let's give some examples because this may seem a little bit confusing. I know the rigid transformation is probably pretty clear, but orientation of figure versus orientation of vertices, let's talk about that. So this transformation, what is going on with this transformation? I have A, B, and C. It's on the left side, and all of a sudden it's flipped around. What kind of, did I just move the image? No, it looks like I flipped around, almost like a mirror image. Which one is that? That is a reflection. That is a reflection. Now, what has happened to the size? Has it changed? Has it stayed the same? It looks like it stayed the same. That is the same. Orientation, the orientation has changed. So what we mean about that is that the figure is no longer facing the same direction. Now, the orientation of the vertices, now, it used to say A, B, C. It no longer says that. It now goes A, C, B if I go around in a circle. I guess if I go backwards, but either way, the orientation of the vertices is also changed. So let's look at the second transformation. We've got, let's see, it looks like the exact same thing. Technically, this is an example of a translation. It's not a great example because you can't really see it move because everything is the same. Translation. The size is the same. We didn't change the size. Orientation of the figure is also the same, and the orientation of the vertices is also, the same. So this is same, and this is also the same. So the figure is facing the same direction, the vertices are still the same. This one, if we take a look at this, we have the triangle, and it looks like it got smaller. We call that a dilation. Remember, a dilation just doesn't mean that it got smaller. It means it changes the size, so it could get bigger or smaller. So the size has changed. Orientation of the figure is the, So again, let's look at orientation of the figure. Orientation of the figure means that, is it facing the same direction? Is it facing the same direction? It is, so that is the same. Orientation of the vertices, it's still going A, B, C. If I'm going in the same direction, it is also the same. Finally, the transformation right here, it looks like the thing has flipped around. It is rotated. We call this a rotation. So, orientation. Sorry, let's start with the size. The size is the same. The orientation of the figure, is it facing the same direction? No, that has changed. Now the vertices, have the vertices changed? A, B, C, A, B, C. The orientation of the vertices is the same. All right. And that's it. That is all about transformations. Different kinds of transformations. Remember, there are 4. Translation means it's moving around. Reflection is like a mirror image, so it kind of changes the image completely. Like, for example, if this was a pirate with a missing eye right here, you'd look at this picture and say, oh, yeah, this left eye is missing. But if you looked at the changed image, you'd look at the pirate and think, oh, his right eye is missing. And you'd be wrong, because in the original or actual image, it's his left eye. Rotating means you're spinning it in a circle, and then dilation means you're making it bigger, or in this case, making it smaller. Remember that the new image, or the pre-image, is just labeled with a regular letter. The new image is labeled with an apostrophe, and we call that prime. So like B is the original, B prime is the new one. Anyways, go ahead and try some problems on your own. Good luck.